why. So this little series of vids is all about my Camino prep for February next year, 2025. We're walking, starting on the 24th of February, across Spain for 20 days. Why? I think to answer it, you have to roll the clock back about 6 years to 2018. In February of 2018, I had suffered quite a spectacular burnout, and I left the job that I'd been in for almost 12 years. And during the time that I took to decompress was the word that I used at the time. That's the word that I remember, but looking back now, it was more like recuperate and heal myself. And during the time between leaving that job and going back to work, I walked my first ever Camino de Santiago pilgrimage. It was with my good friend Steve O'Neill, who about 10 years beforehand had penned me a letter, good old fashioned, sat down, pen in hand, and wrote me a letter and asked if I would accompany him on a pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela at a to be determined time in the future. Well, that time was 2018, and as we said, the planets aligned. I was pretty free, and I was taking it was looking back, it was sick leave, wasn't it? I walked. We started. Steve and I met in Porto, and we had 9 days, 9 amazing, wonderful, life-changing days, and that goes a little bit to explain why I'm doing this walk in February. The walk in 2018, as I've said, life-changing, but in ways life-saving, because it gave me 9 days of space, of mind. It gave me freedom. It gave me the ability to just switch off and stop all of the, just try to be happy with all of the busyness. And it allowed that to quieten down. I think by the time that we started the walk, I had been away from work a couple of months, so I think I had an opportunity to start to just slow down, which ultimately was what I needed to do. And walking, I think 195 miles it was in the end, across Portugal and Spain, that's plenty of time to reflect. It's plenty of time to just breathe, and to some degrees just not have I don't mean not have a care, to just be. It was coming in. It changed my life in ways that I think ever since I came back with Steve, and it was so much more than, you know, just the ability to get away from it all. I mean, the scenery, the just the cultural nuances through the country, the little pilgrimage check-ins, the pilgrims themselves, and, you know, Bom Camino when you're in Portugal and Buen Camino when you're in Spain. And I got the bug very, very quickly, and I also got blisters very, very quickly. So with all of these amazing things, there is that trade-off, because the ability to walk for about 20 miles, give or take, every day, you know, consistently for what was 9 days then, and a little bit further down the line in this series, remind me, I will tell you about one specific incident. But suffice to say, I got the bug. Some of the people we met, and I have some that we've stayed in touch with, you know, developed friendships that just, I think embracing the outdoors, hearing nature's call, and just not knowing what's around the next corner, the intrigue of meeting new people and experiencing new cultures, experiencing regional delicacies, delights, drinks. That first walk. Steve and I had set ourselves some writing targets, some writing goals, which was great, and I will do that again. We'll definitely do a journal in February. People know I like to keep myself challenged, and as much as I've learnt my lesson over recent years in terms of just embracing new ways of retaining a good degree of personal challenge, keeping the bar high, you know, but without breaking my back too often, and, you know, giving too many parts of the body unnecessary strain, but still staying active. I kind of, and still getting the heart racing. So it came startlingly back to me when I was out on my walk the other night, how physically demanding it can be. So that aspect of physical challenge is another reason. I did the Great Scottish Run in October, after my sister had inspired me to get another challenge. I was being lazy. It's the truth of the story. I guess the history is really just the context. The reasons for going back. I mean, you could lump all of that, you know, sentimental aspect, and getting the bug, all into kind of number one. I guess number two is that, just like it did back then, the planets have aligned this time, and professionally, the contract that I've been working on finishes right before I plan to walk. It was intentional. That's the way that it's aligned. So I thought the time is right to take a break. The last 6 years have been crazy, and I guess that kind of leads on to like the third reason, is that the last 6 years has been, and I don't say this lightly, but possibly the most amazing eye-opening, inspiring, maybe even go as far as to say growth period. I don't know, but something within the last 6 years has, so much has happened, right? So whether or not I think I've kind of changed, grown, evolved as a human being, zend myself into some higher consciousness or frequency, whatever I think, right? The crazy things that have happened in that time, and I don't want to sit here and reel them all off, but like from coming back from that walk, the last time, it set my life trajectory in a direction based on two decisions that I made coming back from the walk, which were, one, I will no longer be pursuing someone else's dream professionally. And to that end, I decided I would contract. And that was the cleanest cut way that I could kind of come to that. The purest decision was that I wanted to follow my own dreams. And looking at where I had been, that most certainly wasn't the case. So that was one thing. And I set about doing that professionally by deciding I was going to become a contractor and not work permanently for the foreseeable future, right? Never say never, but that was the decision that I was going to make. And second of all, if I was stepping away from a permanent career, then I would take my, as I've said, my personal development, growth, evolution, transformation, call it what you will. I would take that seriously, and I would take responsibility, 100% complete accountability for what happened next. And what happened next was, later on in that year of 2018, or was it 2019? No, it was in the June, I believe. I went to Benidorm. That's another story. Who wants to hear about Benidorm? Pinky Escobar. His two suitcases. Oh, hold on, gotta change my hat. Sorry, that's another story entirely. So, published my pal's book, then wrote my own book and published that, and then we did all that crazy force forward stuff that included the sort of virtual gatherings, like sort of every month during COVID. There was the men's positive mindset meetings that we did in the barber shop, that kind of then led on to force forward evolving and me getting my own coaches, and then I guess reigniting that passion for coaching, which kind of then led to a much more specific niche of coaching in cold water therapy and breathwork, of all places, with whistle stop tours of qualifications in your bog standard sort of first aid checks, but then we did some NLP, mindfulness, what was it, a master practitioner in mindfulness, neuro-linguistic programming. Did I say that? Yeah. What else? Oh, there were lots of other very cool stuff. And then the boy decided to become a Wim Hof instructor. Then there was the JFDI podcast. And then there was the JFDI radio show. And then it all got quiet. After 6 mad, crazy years, I went back to boxing Scotland. That's another story for another night. Anyway, hopefully this edited rambling has gone some way to explaining why I'm going back to walk the Camino. And if I think of any more stuff, I'll pop it in and edit it. Oh, so the other thing to check in on, I meant to. So the other thing. Last week I only walked 27 kilometres. My first week of training properly, and I probably walked in a week what I'll be walking more than most days in February. So we've got our finger out this week. It's still not going to be massive, and I'm currently making the excuse of time. So I'm having a little break in Portugal for a week, for a few days, and I'm going to do some walking when I'm over, see my mum and dad. What else? Say goodnight, Dylan.